Hello everyone. In the previous video we created our SQL connection and tried to see whether connection is working or not. It worked. Now in this lesson we are going to see how to create our table for hotel management system login. Firstly, you have to go to this database management software. In this case I am using Save Explorer built into Visual Studio. If you cannot find the Save Explorer, go to this view and then in the top of the list you will see the Save Explorer option. Now here choose your database. In the data connections, now here if you scroll your database all to the down, in this database file we can see this tables directory of folder. Each and every SQL database will contain folders like this. In this tables folder we are going to have our all tables related to this database. Now how we can create tables? We can go ahead and right click on this and click on this new query. Otherwise there's another option by saying right clicking on these tables and then we can add new table using GUI, graphical user interface, but I prefer coding. We can add table using codes. For that we can just right click on this database, then click new query. Alright, now here how we can see to which database this query will be affected here into this database. Now we can say create table. To create a table we can use this create table. Make sure you are using capital letters for these keywords to make these codes more readable. Now we have to provide the table name. I will say what is this? Magnifier. Now I will say user underscore table. Now add parentheses. Inside parentheses we are going to pass in what are the columns and it is types and also what will be the primary key is. Now add semicolon end of this code. Inside this we have to define the first one will be let's say ID, user underscore ID. In this case ID will be int and then it should be not null, and then let's say it should be auto underscore increment. Actually I cannot remember what is the code. This let me just Google search for that. SQL query auto increment field. Yeah, after the not null auto increment, that was correct. Why I'm showing some error here? Let's see, int not null auto increment and then comma. Incorrect syntax near auto increment. User ID int not null, person ID int. What does it? I will replace this int with simple letters, and we'll see whether this will not working or not. It is not working. Alright, you can use the keyword identity as the data type to the column along with the primary key constraint when creating the table. Here in the first one means the starting value, and the second one is incrementing value. Our starting value will be 1 and the increment value, when it is come to next identifier, 1 increased by 1, and then when it is come to third value, 2 will be increased by 2. Now that's my fault. Here I will say this should be int and then identity. Inside parentheses I will pass in 1 by 1, and also the we can set this as a primary key later. I prefer to do that in lastly. Now we can just end up with the comma. The next one, username. Let's say username. I will say this as Vasha, and then inside parentheses how many digit characters should be it contains. Let's say some of usernames might contains like at least up to 20 characters. That is fine. And then this will be which comma, and then the password is in the data type. I will say Vacha, and up to letters 30. It is okay. And then how we can set the primary key? To set the primary key, we can say primary key in simple or capital. I prefer to use capital letters when using SQL queries always. Primary key inside parentheses. Now we have to pass in this ID of the variable name of the column name of our primary key. Let's say it is user ID. Alright, now is there anything to add to user? We can add some roles. Let's say user underscore role. We would use something like to make this normalization, we can use another table, but let's predefine by numbers. For example, 1 for admin, 2 for editor, 3 for someone else. So we can say int. Better to use some digit. Okay, now let's predefine int size as 10, not 10, that will be at least 4. There are no people more than 4 length. Alright, okay, now it's fine. Now we can just execute this SQL query. To execute this, we can click on this execute. Column parameter cannot be specified column with the data type int. Here actually I cannot predefine the length for that data type int. It is my mistake. Could not find stored procedure. This will be int capital. Now I will say some length for that as 10. Now let's see, it's still the same. I am going to remove that and try again. Okay, command completed successfully. Now if I hover into my tables, there are no tables. Now we have to refresh to see the changes. Here we have our user table. How we can preview the definition. We can say open table definition. Here it will show us the table surface. Here varchar 20 and the user role is int, user ID is the primary key, and it is not taking any nulls values. Here this is the structure, SQL structure, and if you go to show table data, you can manually add values. For example, we can add some username here. I will say admin and password as 1 2 3 4 5. Let's say 1 2 3 4. Now user role as, let's say for the admin user we can say 1, but this is not the correct way to do this. We have to follow normalization. There are multiple levels of normalization. If we say something like admin here in this user role, it will be replicated in for example, if we add another admin, if we writing admin type again here, it will be replicated. It is a bad experience for database designing. Then we have to normalize, but let's provide some numbers. Okay, those data has been added. If we close this table and try to see again, show table data, we could see the data again. All right, okay, that's how to create our table. Now we are going to see how to read these values from our code. Go to our form, double click it, go to login. Here in this else statement we are going to read the data. Here already we have created our SQL connection. Okay, now we have to add the SQL command. I'm going to just comment this message box that show. If you don't know what are these codes, you can go to the previous video, because you must watch how to configure this SQL connection, otherwise you will end up with lot of errors. Here we are going to say SQL command cmd is equals to new SQL command. Okay, now I will add parentheses and then semicolon. Then I will say cmd dot command text is equals to some SQL command here. We can say select. We have to select what? We have to select everything without this user ID. User ID is just the primary key. Here we cannot allow username as nulls. That's also a bad design. I'm not sure. Let's say we can just click on this update, then it will update our table. It is now we can say update database. We should not allow password to be empty also, and this user all. Okay, now if you go to here, go to table definition. Here we cannot see this allow nulls option are checked. Now it is fine. What we have done is select all from which table? User table, user underscore table. Okay, now we are checking where username is equals to. Now how we can pass in the username variable in this one? We can say single quotations, inside that double quotations, and then plus plus. Okay, now here we have to pass in that variable username. Okay, and also we have to use and means we have to check all of those information are correct. If if any information is incorrect, if any column value is mismatching, this SQL selection query should not result anything. We can say and password. Password is equals to single quotations, double quotations. Okay, now plus plus, inside that we have to pass in the password variable. Okay, now the next thing is we have to execute this. To execute, I'm going to just say cmd dot execute reader, but we have to define another variable that will store these result after executing. That means we have to say SQL data reader is equals to the cmd dot execute reader. Hopefully this should work, but I'm doing this after many years. Firstly, we are checking whether those data is available. For that we can use if statement, then we can say reader dot has values. This reader, okay, that is has a property called has. This Windows is, it is very fast, that's why this is happening. I don't like Windows. Has rows. Now inside the braces we can create a while loop to read data if data are available. We can say here while and then parentheses reader dot read parentheses. Okay, now inside braces this means we have found that value. Actually we don't have to use this while loop, but this will help if we are going to read multiple values, okay, multiple data, for example multiple rows, but here there are only one username and password which have the same values. Okay, that's fine. Now here we can just show message box because this will show once. Okay, message box dot show, and then inside parentheses we can say user found for ID, and we can pass in that value here by concatenating this string. We can say reader dot get string. We need the first value, let's say 1 here. Hopefully this should work, and let's see by running. I'm going to add some wrong one. It shows me some error. SQL data reader dot what is it, unexpected handler connection property has not been initialized. The thing is we have to initialize the connection property for this SQL command. For that we can say cmd dot connection capital C is equals to our connection, which is this one con. Now let's run. If you unable to run when error comes, if you've already fixed it, you have to just close that and run again. I'm going to add wrong information here to see what will happen. Nothing was happened, but if I add admin and the password as 1234, I think that is the password. User found for ID admin, that means the username is admin, but we want to show that when it is count to database we had a primary key. Let me show you that. Here this is the user ID. We have to show that. To show that we can use get string of position 0. We are reading arrays starting with 0. 0 means the first index, first element, like that. Now I'm going to enter admin password as 1234 Oops. Alright, the issue is the primary key is not a string, it will return a integer, so that we have to say get int, let's get by int, it might be at least 32, get int 32, it is fine. Now we cannot directly give an integer value to a string like this. That means we have to pass that to string. We can say dot to string, it will be fine then. I will say admin 1234 user found for id 1. Alright, but this is not a good thing when it is come to security. Okay, showing primary key, the id of the user, it is a bad experience, bad concept. But all we have to do is just show user is found. But in next lessons we are going to have next forms, right? Then we don't have to show this message box, we can directly show other pages. Now in this else statement we can say a message that showing the user is not found or password or something incorrect. To better experience we can say username or password incorrect, because it is not good to show what is the real issue is to user. For example, if the particular user is not found, it is not good to show when it is come to security, because they might use different kind of things. Okay, that's not matter now. I will say username or password incorrect. Let's run again. I will say here wrong values, something, password, username or password incorrect. Alright, that is it. And if this video helps you, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Thank you very much.